Hey guys, I'm back. I'm gonna do part 4 of my series on computer specs and how it relates to music production. I already did part 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, the link is in the description for those videos. Part 1, I talked about CPU. Part 2, I talked about RAM. Part 3, I talked about hard drives, and storage. This series is to give you some information about computer specs and how it relates to music production. If you're looking to upgrade or get a system, or you're just looking to start and you want to understand how everything works together and what part is important, what aspects and how they're important dealing with your computer and your music production. If you're having issues somewhere, this might help you figure out where the issue is. If you're looking to upgrade and just increase your rig, your layout to for better workflow, for more functionality, this might give you some insight on what parts and what components in the computer or your laptop that's gonna help you make those adjustments, those expansions, those additions, and those upgrades. So today we are dealing with the GPU. So we're going to be going through number 1. What is, let's look at the PowerPoint. Hold on. There we go. So first we're going to be looking at what is a GPU, why it's important, what to look for, and I'm going to go into blockchain. The blockchain section, it's interesting. It might be a little bit long. It doesn't have much to do with computer specs and music production, but it's still very important. So kind of hang on and hear me out when I talk about blockchain and how that correlates to GPUs and how that may affect you if you're looking to upgrade or purchase a new system for music production when it comes to the GPU. So first off, what is the GPU? So GPU stands for, it's an acronym that stands for Graphics Processing Unit. Okay, so what that looks like, this is what a basic GPU looks like. This is kind of like low grade and maybe a little bit outdated, but I just want you to get like a basic view of what the GPU looks like. It is installed on your motherboard in one of your PCI expansion slots, and it has the output ports on the back that allows you to connect a monitor, some kind of screen for you to see. So basically what a GPU is it displays what you see on your monitor. It used to be called video cards back in the day, but now it's more popularly known as the GPU because of the advances in technology and what it can now do dealing with AI and deep computational learning due to its architecture. It has a very programmable and flexible architecture. So before it was more, just it was a very basic component called the video card. And what happened was they started to, it was mainly to really push 3D graphics on the computer. Of course, it did the basics of showing you whatever you were looking at on the computer screen, whether you have an app open or whatever, browsers and things of that nature. But after a while, they started really pushing the technology as far as how it renders and processes 3D graphics, which was leaning more towards gaming. And after a while, because of the architecture that they came up with to be able to process this graphics in real time and very intelligently also, they started realizing that the computational abilities of this device could be used more effectively in other ways, both graphically on the computer and also with other applications, like I said before, AI, deep computer learning, and a lot of smart computer stuff that it's being used for now, even with some car technology and all that stuff. So it has come a long way. This is one of the things that's come a long way. Now with music production, GPU, it's not important, but it is important. So it's not as important when you're talking about just graphically and what you need to see and it computing what you're doing, because you're not doing graphics, you're doing music, you're dealing with sound. But so as far as, let's go into what to look for. So what to look for is, I would say, well, let me say this. RAM has the GPU has RAM on it, separate from system RAM. I already talked about system RAM in my second video. Now I'm talking about video RAM. So the GPUs, they come with video RAM on them, and that's one of the things you want to look for, and the type of RAM. So you have DDR RAM. I'm not going to go into the details of what DDR is because it's not important for you to know. You just need to know you want to, I would say, go with DDR4 or higher. So that type of RAM, DDR4 RAM on your video card. And I would say start off at least 3 to 4 gigs of RAM on a GPU, because you're not looking to push crazy graphics, so you don't need a lot. I don't need you to break the bank. You don't need to break the bank for this, but you just need to know you want to have that decent amount of RAM for music production. Now, if you're doing anything else, then that's up to you. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about computer specs and how it relates to music production. So you don't really have to break the bank. Now, here are some images of some more GPUs. And down through the years, they've been improving. This one looks all complicated. It's pretty much similar to what you were looking at. The body is a little bit longer, but what makes it look so complicated is that they have a heat sink on it. That's this metal area underneath the fan, and then the fan is sitting on it. It helps to keep the unit cool. This is more of a higher end one. Well, this is a rendering, a 3D rendering of a higher end GPU. And they get hotter because they're doing a lot of processing. So this fan array that you see on top is here to keep this unit cool. So when you get higher end GPUs, you're gonna get newer ports. So let's go through the ports. This GPU is an older GPU, but we can see here it has a HDMI port, it has a VGA port, and it has a DVI port, which are typical ports that you will find on a GPU. The blue one right here, the VGA port, is one of the oldest ports, and it's getting phased out. So if you buy a newer GPU, it's more than likely you won't see this blue port, the VGA port. You will not see it, but you might still see DVIs. Those are also getting phased out. You'll definitely see HDMI. HDMI is more common to the general public because it's on TVs, but you'll see HDMI. And the next one that you'll see is DisplayPort, which I think that's what these are. These are display ports, which is one of the laziest naming conventions. But anyway, that's what it's called. It's called a display port. This is another form of a DVI port. That's another GPU. This GPU is the GPU that I have in one of my computers. This GPU is good for multimedia production and graphics. So video production, 3D graphics, photo manipulation, things of that nature. Anything dealing with visual or still graphic design, this is good for that. This series, this is a K6000. That's what I have, the Quadro K6000. This is not good for gaming. It's not designed. Like if you research it, the way it's designed, it's not designed for gaming. Anyway, so moving right along. What's next? Let me look at my notes real quick. Am I still streaming? Yes, I seem to be still streaming. So, where are we? Okay. So we're at the next part. So we're at the blockchain portion. So at this point of the video, you can click off if you don't care. You got all the main details you need to know. But this part is still important, guys. Now, blockchain. What is blockchain? I'm not going to go into too deep of a detail. Blockchain is a virtual web-based infrastructure where cryptocurrency operates. Go ahead, look it up. You'll get the details. But that's the basics that you need to know. Now, why is that important? Over the last couple of years, I would say probably 3 or 4 years ago, it happened, and it's happening right now. We're having a price inflation issue with GPUs because of blockchain. So you might ask why, and I will show you why. So this right here is a typical rig that you will see to set up for blockchain, aka cryptocurrency mining. It's a cryptocurrency mining rig. If you notice and you count in here, there's about 12 or 13 GPUs in this one rig. And people are using this to what they call mine cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency mining is a very lucrative business. It's very expensive and it's very power hungry. It consumes a lot of power to mine this stuff. But anyway, they have this rig, and this rig is being used to mine cryptocurrency. So it's a part of the whole blockchain infrastructure. So what's happening is because of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies being so popular, what you have is you have setups like this being built. This is in somebody's house or apartment somewhere, and you see how crazy this looks and how many GPUs they have mounted up here. So what happens is, and here's a bigger situation, these are happening all over the world. So these are mining farms, like warehouses, just big warehouses filled with rows and rows and racks of these setups for mining cryptocurrency. And as the GPUs are coming out, newer ones are coming out with better specs, great prices. What's happening is because of the boom of cryptocurrency and what's happening even currently right now, you can't find any GPUs because the GPUs are being bought out by these massive companies across the world. So as soon as a company like NVIDIA or AMD, those are the two major companies with GPUs. I wouldn't recommend buying any other GPU from any other company. It needs to be NVIDIA based or AMD based. They do have this whole thing where other companies use the AMD or the NVIDIA chipset. So some companies like PNY, and there's some other companies, but just make sure they're using the AMD chipset or an NVIDIA chipset to create the GPU. You will get a way more reliable and stable performance. The other guys that I've never heard of, you know, it's a wild shot in the dark and you're gonna waste your money. Just stick to NVIDIA and AMD. I would lean more to NVIDIA. I've had better experience. AMD tends to be it's just the support is a little bit weird. So certain things you might try to do, certain things might break. The support is not there, and they take a longer while to update it to fix what's broken so that it works with the popular thing that you are using it for. Whereas NVIDIA kind of stays on top of that, and a lot more companies work more closely with NVIDIA to make sure that their products comply and are always compatible and talking well with the NVIDIA technology. But so with crypto mining, it's just driving up the price, and it's killing the availability of these products, which causes the price to go up. Supply and demand, you know how that whole thing goes. So what happened to me probably about, I want to say 5 years ago, I was looking for a GPU. I saw a GPU that I wanted. At the time, it was, you know, it was a good GPU to get at the time, and it was about $200. And I waited for like a month, and after the month, Bitcoin went crazy. So whenever that time was when Bitcoin went crazy a couple years back, I think it was like around 2017, 2018. I don't remember exactly, but you guys know Bitcoin was all in the news. It was a big deal. People were getting rich. When I went to go get that same GPU, first of all, couldn't find it in the stores anymore after 1 month. Because of the Bitcoin craze. And when I did find it online, it went from $300 to $4,000 because it wasn't available, and the few you can find, they're gonna jack the price up because it was selling, because these render farm companies were buying it up regardless of what the price was, because they needed it for their mining farms. So right now, Bitcoin is on the rise again. It's popular again, which also causes all the other cryptocurrencies to also, it's like a wave. The wave peaks here, everything else around it still rises also. So once again, we're in a situation where there is a huge demand for the GPUs to be used in this manner, and these companies are buying them up in the tens, some hundreds of thousands as soon as they come out, and the GPU companies are prioritizing their shipment to them first because it's a big sale, right? So that's one thing that will kind of drive up the price of the GPUs right now. I was able to get one recently with 12 gigs of RAM on it. That was the one that I showed earlier, the Quadro K6000, and I was able to get a good deal. But those things are ridiculous. There was I think I went to the store, there was a K4000 that only has 8 gigs of RAM on it, and the guy was asking for $1,000 in the store, and I was like, I have an 8 gig GPU right now. I have 2 of them, and I didn't pay anywhere near that. But that was the going price because, first of all, they're scarce in the stores. Second of all, the demand is high for them. So I had to go elsewhere because I needed more than 8 gigs. I already had 8 gigs. I wanted to get a higher one that had 12 gigs of RAM. Now, what the important thing is for the GPU and you doing music production, the only thing that I found important is that, number one, if you want to set up multiple monitors, which is something that I do a lot, I'm very used to it. I've been doing it for over 10, maybe 15 years. I've always had a setup with at least 2 monitors. Now in my studio, 2 of my desktops, the one behind me right here, and there's one behind me that way, they both have 3 monitors, and it just makes the workflow so much easier to have more screen real estate. You know how it is when you're mixing, you got your mixer up, you got your arrangement window, then you got plugins. So I can actually just put plugins on one screen. My arrangement window is in the middle screen, and then I have my mixer on the other screen to my right. And it just helps a lot with workflow and just getting stuff done. Whenever I'm like trapped on my laptop, it's always hard to just do one monitor because I'm so used to working with 2 monitors. So even something as simple as building a beat when I'm on my laptop, I have my DAW open, but then I'll open MPC Beats along with the DAW, and I like to have that on a separate screen because I'm going back and forth, and I don't want to keep minimizing and resizing windows and all that stuff. So even for my laptop, I have a secondary monitor, a portable monitor, just to at least have 2 monitors when I'm portable with my laptop. So that's one of the important things that you want to look at. You want to get a GPU with multiple output ports if you want to connect multiple monitors to just give you more screen real estate to increase your workflow as far as that is concerned. The next other thing, I guess the other thing you need to pay attention to with the GPU is, like I said before, how much RAM it has and the type of RAM. And that's why I recommend at least DDR4. That should meet all your needs when it comes to music production. Some of the newer, fancier plugins are making the graphical user interface of the plugin a little bit more graphic intensive. Not that much more, but if you have a really old GPU, you might have issues where it'll say this cannot display because of the graphics that they're using, the fact that everything is moving more to vector graphics where it's resizable, and there's a lot more visual response happening with a lot of these newer plugins, like something like Vital, where you have all the animations and modulations being visually shown just about all the time, and it's a resizable interface. Something like maybe Guitar Rig or Amplitude, where the graphical user interface is very detailed, showing you all the amps and the different stomp effects and rack plugins and all that stuff, and it's showing you in like this really close to like photorealistic imagery of the plugins and the knobs, and you're interacting with them. Some plugins have it where you can unplug cables and all that stuff. Some DAWs do that, like Reason. So those things need a certain amount of graphical power producing from your GPU. So that's why I would still say get something decent. Don't go like 1 gig of RAM. Get something with at least 3 to 4 gigs. You could find something very affordable around that price range. And if you're looking to connect more monitors, that has to do with your GPU. So if you want 3 monitors, you want to get a GPU with 3 outputs, and pay attention to the type of ports that are there, because you're going to need those ports to connect to your monitor. If your monitor doesn't support some of the connections, most times there is some kind of an adapter to allow you to still connect, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. You consult your local computer store, like Best Buy. They should be able to help you out. But definitely, like, if you have a micro center near you, I don't know what they have across the country and across the world, but you could search online to find the right peripheral connections for your GPU to your monitors. And I think that's pretty much it, guys, for the video. So far we've done, let's do the recap. Okay, so far we've looked at, where's my screen? Okay, so far we've looked at CPU, we've looked at RAM, we've looked at storage, we just did GPU, and next is the final part, part 5. Is gonna be the audio interface, which is very, very important because that's what you're doing, audio. So next week I will be dropping that video. That'll be the final part of this series. This is a update of a series that I did before. I did this series before about 5 or 6 years ago, and this is the update. So the next video we're going to talk about audio interfaces, which is very important because that's what you're doing, audio. So we're going to talk about what's out there, price ranges, why it's very important, and the different things you need to look for based on what you do and your level of music production, what you're looking to do, what you may need. So that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and as always, you'll see me in the next video.